Coming up, meet the woman hosting grief support sessions for those struggling with loss.
I like to feel like I am doing some good.
Then, step inside the Vinyl Cafe to learn how one owner is working to welcome people into the cafe's unique dining experience. Plus, learn about the world's largest spoon museum, a collection almost 40 years in the making. These stories and more start now on Studio 308. Welcome to Studio 308. I'm Cleah Phillips. We'll have these stories, plus we'll hear how one individual is helping writers in the Ames community. But first, learn why small-town newspapers are being forced to close for good. For more, we're joined by Mya Allen in our Focus 5 segment. Good evening, Mya.
Thank you, Cleah. In Iowa, about 20 local newspapers have shut down, affecting more than 15 counties across the state, including small towns like Madrid. Mid-America Publishing, the parent company, stopped operations on April 2nd. The company cited financial challenges, rising costs, and the inability to find a buyer as the reasons behind the closures.
The small town newspaper, everybody knows everybody. It's the way that you get the information to the community. Des Moines, Ames, those newspapers aren't covering Madrid, Iowa.
Potential buyers like the Western Iowa Journalism Foundation stated that many former local newspapers have turned to them for support as the closures continue. While newspapers are suffering budget cuts, the federal funding for Iowa libraries remained untouched last week. The American Library Association and the American Federation of State, County, and Municipal Employees reached an agreement with the Department of Justice on April 9th. The deal stops the attempted cuts to the Institute of Museum and Library Services, which funds libraries across the nation. However, local libraries say the battle isn't over yet.
So that's good news in that the Institute of Museum and Library Services is safer, but we're still watching things because the FY27 budget has their funding greatly reduced.
The FY27 budget begins on October 1st. April 9th was a busy day for Iowa's economy as House File 2514 was also signed into law by Governor Kim Reynolds. On March 30th, the bill was passed unanimously on the Senate floor. Lawmakers say that the bill will be making children of child care workers in this state eligible for the State Child Care Assistance Program. The program started as a pilot in 2023. The goal is to help families receive safe, quality, and affordable care while parents go to work or school. It requires employees to work at least 32 hours a week and removes the previous household income limit. This allows more families the ability to qualify for child care support. House File 2514 is set to go into effect starting July 1st. Luke Combs fans were brought to Ames, filling up many of the local hotels. Staybridge Suites is located less than 3 miles from Jack Trice Stadium, which hosted the concert. The country star performed this past Saturday night, which made a busy weekend for hotels in the area. The Staybridge Suites experienced high demand leading up to the concert. Hotel employees tell us they have been completely booked for nearly 2 months. Along with full rooms, this hotel also had to charge nearly double their rates for this specific weekend, with an average room being priced at nearly $200 per night. Staybridge Suite workers also said they have booked nearly 2/3 of its room during the weekend of the upcoming Post Malone and Jelly Roll concert on July 17th. Another event benefiting Iowa is the 58th annual Drake Road Races, which will be held on April 18th from 7:30 a.m. to 11 a.m. at Drake Stadium. These races are open to the public by registering online, with limited spots still available. Runners will make their way through historic downtown Des Moines neighborhoods before finishing inside the Blue Oval. The races include a 5K, 10K, and a half marathon. This kicks off a record-breaking week of events with thousands of competitors and spectators, the Drake Relays. Official competition for the relays starts Wednesday, April 22nd for high school, collegiate, and professional athletes. Cleah, it's events like the Drake Road Races that really help to bring the community together.
Mya Allen with our Focus 5 segment. Thanks, Mya. Now, Helping others cope with loss takes compassion and experience. Brodie Figgins is in West Des Moines with the women behind local grief support groups that are making a difference for survivors. Brodie?
Yeah, Cleah. For many people dealing with loss, finding someone who understands is very valuable. A woman who facilitates local grief support groups in the Des Moines area invited us to her home to share how she helps others cope and heal.
My little evergreen tree. He's going about that much so far. I facilitate support groups for people who've lost someone to suicide. And I do 4 support groups a month. I have a tote that I travel around with, and it has all my information. I'm a volunteer with the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention.
At the heart of it all is her son, Jeremy, who died by suicide.
Well, Jeremy died December 27th of 1999, and so I started going to a support group 2 weeks after Jeremy died. So, and I started facilitating about 4 years later.
From that loss, she's helped others heal and found growth in gardening.
I'm a gardener, and I'm a Polk County Master Gardener, and I have been since 2002, so 24 years now. And I like to get my hands dirty and grow flowers. And the year after Jeremy died, I had a friend help me tear out some of the grass and make a new bed right here behind my bedroom. And I planted a bunch of rose bushes in there. So this was in 2023, June and July. I was supposed to be a speaker at the WOW, the Women of Worth luncheon, and that ended up having to get canceled. But it was about you are not alone, being a survivor of suicide loss. And then this one here is from Eliana and I each got one last year at our walk up at DMAC, and we are the last 2 original planners of our Out of the Darkness walk, and it was our 20th walk. I like to feel like I am doing some good, that I know Jeremy is behind me when I am there, and I guess one of my big takeaways is when people quit coming, I'm okay with that, because I consider then that they've graduated.
Like her garden, she helps people grow until they no longer need her.
If you or someone you know is struggling, please call or text 988, the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline, for help. You are not alone. Please reach out if help is needed. Next, Eliana Compton takes us down to the Vinyl Cafe to see how the owner has built an environment that welcomes visitors from all walks of life.
Down the stairs and through the door of the Vinyl Cafe, Blake Delaney works as a coffee creative, vinyl collector, and art enthusiast. At the counter of his coffee station, Blake took us through his journey of bringing his dream into reality, inviting in customers who bring their own stories and creations to the space.
And I've been really fortunate to be the owner of a key, right? I own the key to the door. And the good fortune of having great people come in, and I don't just say it because I'm the owner, I say it because the people that come in, we have writers, we have artists, we have young people, we have old people, we have all the colors of the rainbow that come in here. We don't care what flag you fly, as long as you come here and fly it. If you don't have a place to hang out, this is your place.
A couple of my friends came in.
That's fine. Like, you tell me you like my coffee. That's my love.
Yeah.
Yeah, so before I was doing that, I was a flooring specialist, and I did very well, but my body was breaking down. Shoulder surgeries, knee problems. If I kept going, I wouldn't be able to enjoy the things I love doing. And like I said, the first day I stepped into this place, I just felt like it was already mine.
In a space that fosters community, visitors feel welcomed to open up. With Adam Sheldon walking in to be met with conversation about his own art and inspirations, leading him to sit down and share his story of finding his passion.
I kind of just like smear colors around on the portrait, and whatever appears, I just go with it. You know, if I start to see shapes, I don't really generally ever plan out a painting. It just represents the oneness of time, how the beginning is the end of the beginning is the end.
With good coffee and great music, Blake Delaney finds that no day at the Vinyl Cafe is the same. By being himself and allowing others to do just the same, the small coffee shop tucked beneath Main Street, Ames has become a center for those looking to express themselves, letting strangers turn into new friends as they discover shared interests and enthusiasms.
The theme here at this shop is come for the coffee, stay for the conversation. And hopefully that's the way it always is. We would love to think that the conversation you have in here is better than the coffee, and our coffee is real good. So those are the two things we preach here, coffee and conversation, and a lot of humanity.
In tonight's Face-to-Face, we sit down with a founder dedicated to empowering voices through writing. Here's Nathan Porter with more.
Thank you, Cleah. Joining me now is the founder of the Ames Writers Collective, Anna McCracken. Thanks for joining us, Anna.
Thank you.
So what inspired you to start the Ames Writers Collective?
It was when I was in the MFA program a couple years ago. I went back to Iowa State as a late in life student, and I had moved from California where I had access to lots of writers, and I wanted to create that sort of space here in Ames.
And then was that your initial vision for it, or did you have anything that you wanted for the collective and then it maybe adapted as you?
Originally, I wanted to have a space, and I had a lease at the building next to the Octagon, and so, but we were on the tail end of COVID. You know, everything changed with COVID, and so I launched an event there, and then afterwards, it was sort of like, now what? Where am I going to go? So a lot of our programs are held at the Ames Public Library.
Speaking of your programs, one of the most unique programs you offer is the Cancer Writing Group. Tell us a little bit about that, and maybe some of the benefits you've seen for the participants of that group.
So I had led cancer writing groups in California, and so I missed doing that. And so I used to do it here at the Bliss Center in Ames, but I lead them now for the John Stoddard Cancer Center in Des Moines. And we meet online because a lot of the people that write with me have diagnoses that keep them at home. So we do generative writing, which means I read a poem and we respond through writing, and then we read it out loud to each other. So people get to hear stories that they can relate to, and so it creates community. It helps to dispel, writing's known to be helpful for anxiety, loneliness, sadness, and so it helps in that area. And also too, it gives them an outlet where their families who've been with them long term, or maybe they don't even have families and they're dealing with their cancer, that it helps to dispel loneliness through community.
And then one of your other programs is the youth writing program. Tell us a little bit about that, and then why is it important for you to invest in young writers?
You can change a life through writing, and I think that kids have so many sports outlets, and so I decided 5 years ago, we've been leading this program for 5 years, the Swift Youth Writers Groups. It's the last week in June at the library, and I've had 2 graduates of that program, one who's currently at DMAC, and she's leading writing programs for me now. She's going to lead, this will be her 2nd year for leading the youth writers in the summer. And I had another one who went off to Iowa City, and she may have already had an inkling that she was going to study English, but I don't have kids, and so I guess I'm sort of living vicariously through these kids who I know that I've touched their lives through writing, and they're going out there and bringing it to other people.
Very cool. And then as a nonprofit organization specifically, what are some challenges that you may have faced being the founder of the Ames Writers Collective, especially in today's world?
So you sort of need a critical mass for things, and I think one of the challenges that I found is finding volunteers. I pay my volunteers, so that helps to get them to show up. But fundraising, this is a passion project for me, and I'm able to, we've gotten grants from the Rotary Club, Story County Community Foundation, but otherwise, and we have some donors. But I'm lucky that I run it on a really low budget, and so finances aren't necessarily, they're important, but not critical for us. And as a nonprofit in these days, donors and grants and money are seriously critical to most nonprofits to lead their organizations.
I understand you're writing a memoir.
I am.
Tell me a little bit more about that, maybe what inspired you to write the memoir?
So it's currently called, because things change when you get to your publisher, but Redacted, a memoir of adoption. I'm adopted. Years ago, I searched for my birth mother. She didn't want to meet me, but through circumstances, I ended up by her deathbed and sat with her as she died that day, and that was the first time I met her. And so the story's about irreconcilable loss. How do you deal? She never spoke to me, and I had that hope that she would. And I also trashed the relationship with my own mother by searching. She wanted me to do that. So how do you deal with irreconcilable loss, which is a universal thing that everybody deals with.
Is this something that you've been wanting to write for a while, maybe, or?
Yeah, no, I've been writing it for a long time, and I'm in the process of revising and editing now with an editor.
When can we expect it to be coming out?
Yeah, right.
Or do we not know yet?
Yeah, maybe you'll hear me read from it sometime.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much for joining us, Anna. A fantastic look into the importance of writers and the impact that they can have on the community. Definitely something that needs more attention, Cleah.
Well, as we heard, literary sparks empowerment, so I couldn't agree more, Nathan. Thank you both. Finally tonight, Cassidy Hasstedt takes us to the world's largest spoon museum, where care and craftsmanship lie in every piece of silverware, making a nearly 40-year journey to success worth it.
Everyone has a passion, but one Iowa woman has turned hers into something truly unique. Inside the Mississippi Spoon Gallery, thousands of spoons line the walls, each one with its own story. To owner Cami Pohl, these aren't just utensils. They're pieces of history, art, and storytelling.
I learned that spoons means the beginning of life for certain cultures, and it was very symbolistic over thousands of years of spoons.
Her passion started decades ago when her great-grandmother gave her a special gift. Little did she know that this gift would later spark something much bigger.
She handed me 3 boxes before we left and told me not to open them until either I got married or bought my first home.
And that gift has turned into a legacy that's touched lives in many ways Cami never imagined. Behind the scenes, her husband Randolph helps restore and preserve the collection, bringing new life to pieces of the past.
This has saved my life. I was having heart issues and was forced into retirement after 35 years as an electrician, and coming into here and helping my wife with the research, with cleaning spoons, with tours of the museum has given me a whole new outlook on life.
For the Pohls, this work is about much more than collecting. It's about keeping history and craftsmanship alive for future generations.
No matter it's silver plated or silver, or somebody's simply their travel spoons that they picked up along the way are still important. They still tell stories of people's travels.
The Pohls' dedication to preserving these unique pieces recently earned global recognition.
When I received word that we won the Guinness Book of World Record for the world's largest spoon collection, it was such an honor and such an achievement that I have created for the last 36 years of my life of collecting spoons. So it was just icing on top of the cake for the museum, because I didn't want it just for me. I wanted it for the museum so that people know that this is where art comes to stay and will not be destroyed for anything.
From a single family gift to a world record collection, the gallery is proof that even the smallest objects can hold the biggest stories.
What a show it's been tonight, from economic ups and downs to grief support groups to the foundations of literacy.
Yeah, and it was great to hear that Kim Reynolds signed House File 2514 into law. It's definitely going to help out the child care centers and their workers as well. And then just a fantastic interview with Anna McCracken about the importance of being a writer in the community.
Well, thank you both for being here and sharing these stories. It's been a great evening. For Nathan Porter and Mya Allen, I'm Cleah Phillips. Thanks for joining us on Studio 308.